Welcome back, everybody, to the Pittsburgh Pirates franchise here on MLB The Show 20. As today, the Season 3 off-season will be occurring. Last episode, we had Game 7 of the NLCS and unfortunately took the L against the Arizona Diamondbacks by the score of 8-6. But this team showed a lot of fight and resilience in this Game 7. In the bottom of the 8th, we were down 8-1 and then had a really nice comeback, had a chance to win it in the 9th inning. And although we did not win it, the comeback attempt does show you the fight and the toughness and the competitiveness of this ball club. So we have a pretty big offseason upcoming. A lot of big decisions need to be made. Pretty big free agency class as well. Adam Eaton did win the World Series MVP, by the way, hitting .455, only driving in 1 run in 5 games. I don't know how that warrants MVP, but it's MLB The Show, so that's what's going to happen. So now on to the offseason itself. Starting with player retirements, we have 2 members of our organization retiring. The first one being Tim Beckham. Beckham was a player we signed back in the middle of Season 1. He's gotten some on and off time with the big leagues. Didn't really play much in the majors this season, but he's been a fine bench bat for the major league club. He was an everyday player for the AAA team this year. And then Bo Seussler. He was the lone reliever in AA, actually a fairly good player. He didn't have a major league future, though, so losing him isn't the end of the world. And then looking at the rest of the retirements, there aren't a whole lot of big names. Robinson Cano is in there. Lorenzo Cain, I know he's been still been playing really well throughout the remainder of this series with the Dodgers. And then looking at free agents, there are a few recognizable names. Yoenis Cespedes, Asdrubal Cabrera, Nelson Cruz. Is Nelson Cruz a Hall of Famer? That's an interesting question. He ages like a fine wine, so certainly up for debate. John Lester retiring. I know Andrew Miller is going to retire. Justin Verlander ended up retiring. I'm a Tiger fan. Justin Verlander is easily a Hall of Famer. Unfortunately, MLB The Show decided to disagree with me on that. The only player who would enter the Hall of Fame is Robinson Cano. Cano also very deserving of that Hall of Fame spot, spending his career with the Yankees, Mariners, and the latter part with the New York Mets. So now on to, we have to go through re-signings, but first I just wanted to take a quick look at all of our statistics, because really I think it's a good idea to run through them, just get a good idea of who played well, who didn't. We know these stats pretty well, but it's a good idea to look at the final numbers. So looking at the batting lineup, the main starters are going to be pretty similar. Eduardo Escobar does have a team option, however, so we're going to have to consider accepting that or declining it. The pitching rotation is where we'll see a lot more change, though. Jameson Taillon, Julio Urias, and Joe Musgrove are all free agents after next season, but there's no way we're going to pay all 3 of them, so maybe we will look to trade one of them in the offseason. The bullpen as well will probably look different. Our top 4 relievers, Michael Givens, Ken Giles, Will Smith, and Ryan Presley, are all free agents this offseason. There's not a likely shot we keep all 4. So here are all of our exclusive negotiations. These guys will be entering unrestricted free agency if we decide not to bring any of them back. We will go after a few of these guys, though, including Ken Giles. Giles was signed after Season 1. He's been a monster ever since we picked him up. He was great in Season 2, even better here in Season number 3, and I think we would be crazy not to re-sign him and keep him as our closer. The contract we signed Giles to back in Season 1 was a 2-year deal worth $20 million with a club option for the second season, and we're going to offer him that exact same contract and hope he takes it. Next up is Eduardo Escobar. He was signed last year in the offseason, had a really good year for us. However, there are a lot of young players I like in our farm system who are Major League ready, and because of that, I don't think we need Eduardo Escobar. We could have him making about $14 million this year. However, we're going to decline his team option and let him go to free agency. I'm not opposed to bringing him back, but I just don't think we need him. Ryan Presley is here as well. I don't think we need to retain Presley either. Yes, he was very good last season, but I would rather keep guys like Ken Giles and Will Smith. I am picking Smith over Presley mainly because Will Smith is a lefty. Don't have a ton of lefties in our bullpen, so I'd rather keep a guy like Smith over Ryan Presley. So Ryan Presley was actually on a team option. His option will be declined, and then Will Smith will be receiving a contract extension from the team, 2 years, $10.4 million with a club option for the second season. So Smith, if he takes that, will be making around $5 million per season. The next player we're going to look at here is Michael Givens. Givens has mainly been a closer with his time with the Baltimore Orioles. He signed with us in the offseason, became a middle reliever, and he was solid. He only wants about $2.5 million a season, which I think is a fair price. So we're going to offer him a one-year contract worth $2.4 million. Next up is Aroldis Gallegos. He was extended last offseason with a team option for this season, and we're not going to take it. This Gallegos, after a phenomenal season 2, was really bad last season. Spent a lot of time in the minors, and when he was with the majors, he did not play well. Also have Mitch Haniger and Macana, two of our bench bats. We're not going to offer either of them extensions right now. We also have a vacancy at the manager position. Our manager for the past 2 seasons has been Ira Pack. Pack has been a very good manager, and I planned on bringing him back this offseason. There's no reason not to. However, a different manager really caught my eye. Ike Braun. Braun has, I think, better attributes than Ira Pack. +3 power is a big one. +2 plate discipline is also awesome. -1 hits per 9 hurts. -1 field per 9 hurts. But Ira Pack's abilities were only +1. Braun has a +3 and a +2. So I'm a little bit more intrigued by him. We're going to offer him a 2-year contract worth $11 million, $5.5 million per season, which is a lot, but I think it's worth it. Ike Braun has accepted the manager spot, so he is now the manager of our Pittsburgh Pirates, and we wish Ira Pack the best. He was a very good manager for us. It's just that I like Braun a little bit better. So now on to free agency. Will Smith and Michael Givens have accepted their extensions. Ken Giles has not. So Giles is currently in the unrestricted free agency. He wanted to test for waters. As we look at his free agency class, it's a very good one. Aaron Judge, Joey Gallo, Severino, Trey Turner, J.D. Martinez, Barrios, Benintendi, Giles, Byron Buxton. A lot of talent in this free agency class. We don't have a ton of holes on the roster, but there are a few guys who I think we could potentially look at to sign. So we're not going to go after free agents quite yet. We're going to go through the boring stuff first because we need to make this a little bit more suspenseful. We're going to add a few players to a 40-man roster. Lazaro Armenteros, Domingo Robles, and then our top 2 prospects, Santiago Osuna and Pablo Cairo, will also be joining the 40-man roster. Robles and Armenteros were eligible for the Rule 5 draft. We don't want either of them to go. And then, meanwhile, Cairo and Osuna, I think, are pretty much Major League ready. So here's the arbitration stage. We are offering everyone who's eligible arbitration except for Michael Feliz. Feliz did not play in the big leagues last season. I don't see much of a reason to retain him. But we wouldn't offer any of these players extensions. All they would get is arbitration, Tyone, Urias, Mejia, and then the rest of these guys as well. Hopefully the panel decides to side with us so we don't have to pay these guys as much, but we'll see. Feliz, let's take a quick look at his numbers. He was an all-star in 2021. I don't know how he wasn't all that good. And we had multiple all-stars. It's not like he was our only all-star that season, but I just don't really see a reason for us to bring him back. He probably wouldn't start in the majors this year anyway, so he will now enter free agency. Also, looking at the contract renewable stage, we're going to pretty much bring everyone back here for the most part, except for a few players. So we're just going to scroll through this fairly quickly. The only players we decided not to bring back are guys who just really don't have any sort of future with us. Braxton Davidson, he was part of the Will Smith trade at the deadline last year. We were set at first base in the farm system and in the big league, so don't need to keep him. And then Bly Madris and Osvaldo Duarte, 2 of our other AA players. I just don't really think we need them, so we're going to let them go to free agency. They probably won't get signed. If they do, good for them. If not, that's tough. So now on to the actual free agency itself. Who will the Pirates be going after this offseason? We've signed some pretty big free agents in recent years. Ken Giles in Season 1, Eduardo Escobar in Season 2. So the first player we're going to look at is Pedro Baez. Baez has been a reliever with the Dodgers for nearly a decade, and he's just been the model of consistency. He's never had a bad ERA. He's always in the 2s and the 3s. He's just a really consistent reliever, so he's a guy I'd really like to bring in. I want to add some new bench bats, and we're going to go after Andrew Mccutchen. I know Pirates fans are going to like this one. Mccutchen had some storied season with the Pittsburgh Pirates earlier in his career. He won an MVP in Pittsburgh, and he's still a decent player at the age of 36. He's going to receive a 2-year contract worth $7 million. He's probably going to be more of a platoon guy with all the talent we have in the outfield, but he is a player I wanted to bring in. We can't let Andrew Mccutchen retire on a different team. We just can't do that. We're also going to go after Raisel Iglesias. He's been with the divisional rival Cincinnati Reds his whole career, but maybe we can change that up. So those are the main three guys we're going to be offering, Baez, Mccutchen, and Iglesias. We're also still going after Ken Giles and decided to offer some contracts to some minor leaguers. So no real big fish for us this offseason like the past two free agencies, but I wanted to save some money for next season, and obviously we don't have a ton of major holes. Looking at the rest of the Major League landscape with free agency, Chad Green is a Ray, Max Muncy to Toronto, the Yankees are going to get Sonny Gray, and at this point, the Dodgers are offering Ken Giles a big contract, so we're going to offer him a little bit more money, hopefully he can stay. Byron Buxton is going to Atlanta. Luis Severino signs a huge deal with the Astros. Gary Sanchez going to the Tampa Bay Rays. Seth Lugo to the Yankees. Joey Gallo to the Phillies. Hitters-friendly ballpark for Joey Gallo. That's going to be nasty. He might hit 50 home runs this season. He'll still hit 200, though, and strike out 200 times. We have a big trade. Marcus Simeon going to the Cubs in exchange for Trevor Bauer and Jason Kipnis. This deal actually makes sense for both teams. The A's have Trevor Story. They don't really need Marcus Simeon, and the Cubs need some more juice in their lineup. Jose Barrios signs a giant contract with the Texas Rangers, so the Twins lose their ace. And at this point, everybody who we've offered, Giles, Baez, McCutchen, Iglesias, and all of the minor leaguers have officially accepted their contracts with us, which is awesome. The Twins signed Jose Leclerc, so basically the Rangers and Twins swap Barrios for Leclerc. As we continue onwards, Ryan Presley, our former reliever, is signing a 2-year, $10 million contract with the Cleveland Indians, so he will be moving out of conference. Jose Ramirez will stay in the NL East. He's going to the Mets on a 3-year contract. He's been with the Braves the past 2 seasons. Eduardo Escobar will be staying in the NL Central. He signs a 3-year, $40 million deal with the Chicago Cubs, so Chicago adds Eduardo Escobar and Marcus Simeon to their lineup. Aroldis Chapman returns to Chicago, but not with the Cubs. He's actually going to sign with the White Sox. The Angels get J.D. Martinez, who's the most glitchiest player in this game. So now they have J.D. Martinez, Anthony Rendon, and Mike Trout in the middle of that lineup. Lord help us all. Thank goodness we're not in the NL West, because that is nasty. So now on to the Rule 5 draft. If there's a player who I think can help our Major League team this season, I'm going to pick him. If not, then we're just going to skip our selection. And there are some options. There are some decent potential players here that we could go with. However, I just don't think a lot of these players could really help our Major League team this season. And the big rule for the Rule 5 draft is if you pick a player, they have to play on your Major League team this season. And there's no one here who I think is worthy of that for us. So we now simulate all the way up to February. It is time for the arbitration hearings, and unfortunately, for the most part, the panel would side with the players. So the players will not be receiving the arbitration offers they get from us. Instead, they'll be receiving larger salaries, which just kind of suck. But it's not like they're getting gigantic contracts, and they're all coming back to the team regardless. So, I mean, good for them making more money, I guess. It's not the end of the world by any means. So now it's time to get active in the trade market. And we've got a big trade to start off. Bo Bichette is leaving Pittsburgh. Bushette was a player we acquired early in Season 2. He's been good, and I'm okay with keeping him, but I found a trade I really like for Bo. He has all-star potential, but he only has a few more years left on his deal and hasn't really progressed the way I was hoping. We're also going to be trading Lazaro Armenteros, one of our better prospects. He's pretty much MLB ready, but we don't really have a spot for him in the outfield. So the things we are giving up are Bo Bichette, Lazaro Armenteros, and then another first baseman prospect in Theodore Harris. So you've got to assume, oh, we're probably trading for a proven star, right? Wrong. We're trading for a kid who's never played a Major League game in his life. The number 1 prospect in all of baseball from the Tampa Bay Rays, Wander Franco. So why exactly am I doing this trade? Wander Franco has the potential to be a superstar. He's Major League ready right now. He's going to be a Major League player for us this season. He's a 5-tool player. He's almost as good as Bo Bichette, but he's 4 years younger. He has a lot more potential, and we don't really need Lazaro Armenteros. So this is a trade I'm very comfortable with making. The next player on the move is Joe Musgrove. So out of our big three in the rotation of Taillon, Urias, and Musgrove, we're going to be trading Joe Musgrove. He wants about $13 million a season, and while he's been a very consistent guy for us, that's ace money. He's not our ace. So we're going to be trading him along with two decent prospects, Liover Peguero and Adam Cuevas. You think we're going to get a proven star? Wrong. We're getting a guy who's never played a major league game, a starting pitching prospect from the Mariners named Patrick Magana. Magana probably won't play in the big leagues this year, but he has a lot of potential. He's only 20 years old. He's a balanced pitcher. So why am I trading proven players for guys who have never played a major league game in their life? Well, Wander Franco will be a major leaguer this season, and we have enough talent to replace Joe Musgrove in the rotation. Brandon Waddle could be a good starter. Santiago Osuna is going to get called up pretty early this season. And if Osuna struggles early in the minors, maybe we call up Patrick Magana instead. 74 overall is no slouch. That's the level of a fit number 5 starter in the majors. 20 years old. He has like 93 potential. So him and Osuna are going to be a dynamic duo for us for a long time. We also getting a new bench bat as a few minor leaguers, Trey Cabbage, Michael Gonzalez, and Wei Chun Wang, are going to the Oakland A's in exchange for Tony Kemp. Kemp is a 5-tool player. He hits for good contact, solid power, good vision, good discipline, good defense, and he's not molasses out there. He's not fast, but he's not unhumanly slow. He's tiny, 5'6", 165, but he can play second. He can also play the outfield. So I think adding a guy like Tony Kemp, who has World Series experience, he played with the 2017 Astros, that could be good for us. We're also going to make a move bolstering the bullpen. Jace Fry is on the move. He's just been too inconsistent for my liking. Along with Yandy Diaz, with the addition of Tony Kemp, we don't really need Yandy Diaz as much. They're going to the Nationals in exchange for Wander Suero and a couple of prospects as well. Suero is 31 years old. He is an 88 overall, coming off a really, really good season in 2022 with a whip pretty much at 1. We're also going to be acquiring second base prospect Clyde Gaskins and third base prospect Drew Mendoza. Mendoza has the chance to potentially be a bench bat with the major league team this season. He's a fairly good player. So I really like the value for us in this trade. So that would be it for the Pirates making moves for, I would say, pretty big trades. So despite a quiet free agency, the Pirates were not quiet in the trade market. So we do want to do a couple more things before we end the offseason. That includes Benny Lane. Benny Lane was a platoon player last year. He played first base against righties, and that moved Josh Bell to the outfield whenever we played righties. Well, I don't really want Josh Bell playing the outfield. Plus, Benny Lane has a good enough arm to be able to play third base. So we're going to have him be able to play third base. He's going to still be listed as a first baseman, but his secondary position will now be third base. So he'll be playing third base quite often. And then Wander Franco can only play shortstop, but I think he's athletic enough to play second. Bushette played second last year, and Wander Franco is his replacement. O'Neal Cruz has been comfortable at short the past couple of seasons. There's no reason to move him. So I think it makes more sense to move Franco. His new secondary position will be second base. We're also going to be making a late free agent signing, Hanser Alberto, a utility infielder from the Baltimore Orioles, will be added to the squad as another bench bat. Alberto is a great defensive player, hits for good contact as well. He would receive a 1-year contract worth about $4 million and would eventually accept it. So that'll bring us to spring training. The lineup we're going to run with is a fairly young lineup. We don't have a lot of our proven major leaguers starting, except for, I guess, Brian Hayes and Francisco Mejia. And that's against righties. Against lefties, I don't think either of them are starting. So on the bench, we have guys like Josh Bell, Dylan Carlson, Brian Reynolds, who are obviously everyday starters. This is only because I want to get the young guys mainly playing throughout spring training, and we would do the same with the rotation. Our main 4 proven starters being Taillon, Urias, Jordan Yamamoto, and Mitch Keller, they won't be starting. I'm considering adding Patrick Magana, however, to the 40-man roster and having him play in spring training as well. I think that's what I'm going to do. And then the bullpen as well. I wanted our proven relievers, Will Smith, Wander Suero, Pedro Baez, Ken Giles. I didn't really want them to be playing Because if they're listed as a relief pitcher, that means they're not going to play. They don't need to prove me anything. They're already major league caliber guys. So that'll do it. I don't think I'm going to stream spring training this year. I think we're just going to jump right into the regular season. Hope you guys enjoyed the offseason. Hope you're excited for Season 4. Peace out.